the longer I thought about it, it just feels like this is an announcement by the Ducks that they are going to do some shit this offseason.
Let's begin in this long stretch between games 3 and 4 of the Stanley Cup final with the Anaheim Ducks, who are getting Chris Kreider from the Rangers for a prospect and a pick. Frank Saravalli all over it yesterday evening, all over that something was being discussed, something was going to happen, didn't have yet what it was going to be, and now it's going to be a prospect and a pick. And this is very interesting for the Anaheim Ducks because Chris Kreider, as you know, is a 34-year-old left wing with 2 more years on his contract at $6.5 million. The Anaheim Ducks are a team with the worst power play in the league and $38.68 million in salary cap space. That is before adding Chris Kreider. We saw this report yesterday and we were like, the Ducks want to turn into the 2021 New York Rangers, and that is stupid. What are they doing? That was my initial thought. What was your initial thought?
And yeah, it was just like they're just collecting old Rangers. So that was the first easy arrival to a takeaway. But the more that I thought about it, I mean, obviously the Ducks need power play help, and Chris Kreider should help them do that. They were dead last in the league in power play this past season. But the longer I thought about it, it just feels like this is an announcement by the Ducks that they are going to do some shit this offseason.
I love this for the Ducks, mainly because it is a starter's pistol that they're going to do some shit. They can add Chris Kreider. Like I saw a lot of stuff about like, will the Rangers retain it? Don't need to. Just give up as little as you can. Take on the $6.5 million. You are very much good for it. You have so much space. We've all heard the rumors about them going after Mitch Marner. If you are adding Chris Kreider on the left side, Mitch Marner on the right side, this opens doors as to what they might be doing afterwards, because after this move, after the Kreider move, they got $32.15 million in cap space. And yes, they're going to need to save some of that money because as their young guys come up, the Cutter Gauthiers of the world, the Leo Carlsons of the world, they're going to need to shell out big money for those boys. But for now, their current left wings, before adding Chris Kreider, Troy Terry, 27-year-old wing mostly wing, who has 4 straight 20-goal seasons. He's signed till 2030. That guy's not going anywhere. Cutter Gauthier, on his entry-level contract. It was a big stink getting that guy there in the first place. He's not going anywhere. Then you got Trevor Zegras, 25 years old, entering the last year of his contract, after which he will become an RFA. And I think that bangs you over the head with a big mallet that says, sign Marner, trade Zegras.
Yeah, I feel like a Zegras trade would not shock me at this point in time. I'm very, very intrigued by what the Ducks plan to do this season and in the next few seasons. Like, what do they think that they're not necessarily a window, but like where are they trying to get to in the next couple of years? Because they're clearly going in a direction where they want to get a little bit more experience to pair with these younger guys. And if you go out and get Kreider, like, what do you think you're going to be next year, especially if you make a couple big splashes in free agency?
I think that they are a fringe playoff team, and they kind of were a fringe playoff team this year. But if you sign Marner, trade Zegras, you're obviously getting something for Zegras.
Right.
I don't know what it would look like, but even taking out whatever they're going to get for Zegras, if they trade for Kreider, sign Marner, and trade Zegras, your top 6 is probably looking like the 6 guys being Terry, Strome, Marner, Gauthier, Carlson, Vetrano. That is a good solid top 6. And then your third line is going to have Chris Kreider, Mason McTavish, I should say, and Alex Killorn, which would be a really good third line.
Yeah, unless McTavish gets offer sheeted this offseason. Probably
He's not.
Probably not.
I'm the offer sheet stuff, and I know there's another name out there now that is being floated, Jack McBain. The guys that are going to get offer sheeted are going to be the
lower rung guys,
the second or third round pick guys. It's going to be McBain. It's going to be Maverick Bourque. It's not going to be the guys like if you're signing Mason McTavish to an offer sheet, You're giving up first-round picks to get that guy. And teams that would be in that position, man, like I'm just so afraid of potentially giving up the pick that could be first overall next year.
You could also throw a potential John Gibson trade into that that offseason barrel. Like the Ducks are emerging as one of the more fascinating teams to watch this offseason, and I think that the Chris Kreider, like you mentioned, is a starter pistol for this team.
Yeah. What about, you said they trade John Gibson? What about something with Boston? Just off the top of my head, something with Boston. Gibson goes to Boston. Swayman goes to Anaheim. Zegras goes to Boston.
No, just no interest in that. Like, and I don't think that Anaheim needs a goaltender. Like Lucas Dostal is their goaltender.
But if they want to recreate the best goaltending situation that has existed in recent years,
I guess I don't understand why you do that from a Boston standpoint either. Like if I'm doing that trade, I want McTavish. I want I want a lot more than Trevor Zegras.
Yeah, and I feel like McTavish probably holds more value than Jeremy Swayman right now because he's young, although you don't know what the contract's going to look like. But Ducks knocking on the door hard. They got a good new coach. Their roster is good already, and they're clearly about to make it better. They're banging on the door. Who comes out in the West if they do become a playoff team? Playoff teams this year: Winnipeg, Dallas, Colorado, Vegas, LA, Edmonton, Minnesota, St. Louis. Minnesota, I will know because you would say it's probably going to be one of the wild card teams, and maybe it will be. But Minnesota they're going to have a lot of money to spend too. And they've got Zeev coming in. And rookie defensemen don't usually lead teams to the playoffs, but he's going into an already good team whose arrow is pointing up. And then St. Louis, that's their first year under Montgomery. I would say that St. Louis is the most likely to fall out from that group, but they're going to have Holloway healthy, a year older, a year better. Like, they're also ascending.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's impossible to project this early in the offseason, but like I would say if you're looking at those teams, St. Louis, given that they like didn't lose a game in the second half of the year, that's probably the most non-repeatable type thing that I would look at. I think Anaheim's ready to make a jump. I would also say like Utah Hockey Club poised for a big offseason that could push them into a position where maybe they're knocking on the door. So, yeah, I mean, this is we said it like even before heading to the event yesterday on the drive to the Bauer event. Like this is going to be a fascinating offseason in a number of different areas with the cap going up, with a lot of teams feeling like they're knocking on the door, just kind of the free agency. Like the free agent class is not amazing. So a lot of teams maybe going to have to think outside the box if they want to reposition themselves.
And you have to worry about next year's free agency. What if those guys that are coming up are going to be available? Mm-hmm. Not that I don't think McDavid is going to hit the market, but what if Jack Eichel does? Every team in the league needs to have money set aside for Jack Eichel.
We all silly like the mayor.
Some of the issues that I had in the first couple of episodes trying to either like relate or like have it be, it resonate have sort of been answered by what we saw in episode 3.
Let's break down Heated Rivalry, episode 3, Hunter. One of,
banger.
I'll say, people said after we talked about episodes 1 and 2, just you wait for episode 3. And we said, we cannot wait for episode 3.
I mean, we literally had to.
No, we were forced to. Yeah. We didn't want to. But with how episode 2 ended, you heard me last, but I was Shane starting to type out the we didn't even kiss and then deleted, and you're thinking like, damn, these two, they're in a relationship where it feels like love is just not allowed or feelings aren't allowed yet. One of the members of this relationship just does not know where they stand. What do we get next? We get an episode that has everything that has been kept from us in the first 2 episodes, which is a love story. Scott Hunter Kip, the juice maker, the smoothie maker, not barista, although we're seeing some people in the chat say maybe there was some barista references in the book. So we don't know that yet. We have not read the books. We are just watching the show week to week. But Scott Kip's storyline gives you everything that you haven't gotten so far in this series. And just a lot of it is like a counterbalance or a counterweight to what the other episodes are giving you. Because Shane and Ilya, you have... They meet as adversaries. They're supposed to be rivals. They're not supposed to like each other. Kip and Scott have a meet cute.
Yeah.
The Shane and Ilya, there's like a lot of, it's kind of running around and being secretive, but like not really even being upfront with each other. Scott courts Kip.
Yeah.
Just like, it's more of a love story. And
well, it's a different love story. And like I got some pushback or like some of the feedback that we got after the first episode, or the way that we kind of talked about the beginnings of the Hollander Rosanov story was like, yeah, the smut and the sex comes first, but like that's the way that it happens in a lot of gay relationships.
Well, I said that last week, where it's like hot person meets hot person, they bang a lot. Oh, the horror. That's how, yes, that happens in a lot of gay relationships. That happens in a lot of relationships.
For sure. But like, I think that like this is, you put it in a good way. Like it's a counterbalance, because in that story you get the sex and then like as a setup to the emotional connection. This way you get the emotional connection that leads to the sex. And it was a nice counterbalance. And I really, really liked this episode in particular, because like it very much took its time. And it very much, like, I feel like I learned more about these two characters in 40 minutes than I did about the other in the first two episodes.
That's for a couple of reasons. One is the first two episodes are about what, folks? Time jumps. Half the time it just says on the screen 3 months later, 5 months later, whatever. So you don't actually see anything or hear from these people. You just see that time is moving. And the other thing is what they're willing to give each other and what they're willing to show each other. And Ilya definitely has like one thing so far that we've seen he will give to Shane. Yeah, he's flirty with him and everything, but he's also like, you are mine.
There are walls.
Yes, there's definitely walls. And like I said, end of episode 2, where Shane's like, damn, I'm starting to catch feelings. Am I allowed to be doing that here? Scott says to Kip, I hope you catch feelings. I hope that after one hookup, you stay here. And also, I hope you don't consider that a hookup, because I am trying to make you like my fucking person here. And shout out Kip not being like, that was a lot. I will see you later. He was like, okay, I'm going to entertain this. I'm going to see where it goes. And I got to shout out the actor who plays Scott. I apologize. The monologue at breakfast, amazing performance. Like this episode is something that, and I don't want to get into the
Francois Arnaud.
Okay. I don't want to put these episodes against each other. I want to talk about them in the group that they make up. Whereas like these two things bring this thing counters that, and all that. I don't want to get into 1 and 2 were bad because I like 3, and I know that you're not doing that, but I think that I'm already seeing a lot of people like, you have your favorite episodes and that's great. Like I think that I know that 3 is, I think, the episode that I will rewatch. Like if I have half hour to give to Heated Rivalry in 3 years, I'll say, I'm going to watch that 3rd episode and I'm going to cry. There's a special place in my heart for episode 2 though, because at the end of episode 2 is where I was like, okay, this absolutely has me.
At the end of episode 2, they plant the seed of what's to come. And then in episode 3, I think that episode 3 does a really good job of showing you what this series is capable of. And for those of us who have not read the books and are just going into this TV series, you see most of the first 2 episodes, and you're not really sure like how deep this show is going to go and how it's going to be able to explore the relationships, because you don't have that like base knowledge of the way that they're going to explore the Ilya and Scott relationship further.
Shane.
Sorry. And So episode 3 definitely elevated my like hopes and my expectations for this series as a whole, because you see what it's capable of when it kind of dives deeper into like the relationships and the intricacies and sort of the dynamics there. And so I'm very, very excited. I also think that like going into it without any sort of knowledge, like it was pretty obvious that the first 2 episodes were a lot of setup, but I feel like in the way that the setup was delivered, because of the time jumps, there was a lot of like, well, this happened and this happened and this happened and this happened. Whereas like in episode 3, I feel like it was a much better job of doing like, this happened, so this happened, or this happened because this happened. And it just felt a little bit more fluid and more just, I guess, like I felt way more, what's the word that I'm looking for? Just like kind of in the series.
Yeah, I mean, the end of here's what, among other things, here's what episode 3 served to do. It made the questions that you have at the end of it made the questions that you have at the end of episode 2 about Shane and Ilya, not about the show. You know, like at the end of episode 2, and where there's the "we didn't even kiss," you're like, are we going to get that? And then you see episode 3, which is a lot more of like a full picture, like 2 people falling in love with each other. And you're like, okay, the show is going to do that. Mm-hmm. This question now just applies to these 2. Like the show is going to do it, but is it going to do it with Shane and Ilya? And if it doesn't do it with Shane and Ilya, are we unsatisfied? Because that could also like serve to that's a very human thing too, where a relationship is more physical than it is emotional, and one of the parties inevitably is like, I hate to say it, this kind of isn't what I'm here for anymore. I want the whole thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Did you have any issues with episode 3 in particular?
Yes. Man in the Crease is not a good podcast. That is confirmed. I also need to note, I buried the lead here. I edited the Heated Rivalry Wikipedia page last night.
You edited it?
I had to edit it.
What'd you put?
It said that meeting, and I'm sorry to whoever wrote this, and I'm sorry to have pulled rank as a hockey person. It said that after meeting Kip and drinking the smoothies or juice from Straw plus Berry, he broke out of a losing streak. And I edited it to say scoring slump.
Ah, yes. Good call.
It was more of a scoring slump.
Maybe they were losing, though. Were they? Was that explicitly?
But they were making it about Man in the Crease, which I think we can all agree is a fucking rubbish podcast, was making it all about Scott Hunter. And as Scott Hunter does not play goalie, if he were a goalie, then yeah, they're losing these games and they're making it all about the goalie.
I had one huge problem with episode 3. And it may not be what you think, but there was a point in that in episode 3 where they're hooking up and one of them says to the other, "I can't believe you're into me." Both of those guys are just the hottest guy in the world. Like, how is there any world in which they would look at the other one and be like, "Ew, gross," or like, how is it possible that they wouldn't be into each other?
I mean, one's a pro athlete.
I'm a straight man and I'm into both those guys.
I feel like when you're a pro athlete, it ends up being more than just like physical attraction. You've got such a large selection. Maybe not as much like for a gay pro athlete, because you have to be a lot more discreet, or at least in Scott's situation, he's being a lot more discreet. But like, I don't know. I think I'm a pretty good looking guy. If Cameron Brink was into me, I'd be like, why are you into me?
Oh, no, disagree. That has been a core philosophy of mine forever. I've never been what are those two doing together? How is he into her? She into him into him, whomever? Like, I can answer it. They like each other.
I mean,
but on top of that, they're also both like the hottest people in the world.
Yes.
Like that moment, like fully took me out of the show for like 5 to 10 seconds.
I mean, to be fair, like Sky in the chat said, hot people are insecure too. Like Kip is just a guy working 2 jobs, trying desperately to get into art school. Like I think there's reason to believe that he doesn't look at himself in like the.
Yeah, like there's talk about like the status and the class difference.
Yeah, I think
get
that's
that.
the big thing.
At the end of the day,
physically,
you are still fucking absolutely 10 out of 10s.
Yeah, I mean,
both of you.
Physically, Kip's the hottest guy in the show. I'll say that.
I think so
Kip's
too.
The hottest guy. Maybe it's because he's such a sweetheart.
Do you have the tweet that I sent you? It was like from somebody sent the tweet and was like, "Which heated rivalry guy is your type?" And it's just like the 4 hottest guys in the world.
And they're also
so funny.
like. I guess Shane is at least part Asian, but otherwise it's like 3 white guys.
Yeah. It's just like they're all like so hot. And it's like, which one is your type? All of them?
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
So that was my one problem with episode 3. I saw like
I have one thing that I want to push back on from episode 3. And I'll also note on the Kip discussion and how hot he is. When he did the Dreyfus in Jaws look, which was like the glasses and the sweater. I was watching with my girlfriend and she was like, that's an amazing look for him. And I was like, yes, but we have to, this is one of those people. Kind of like, don't let it go to your head, Pete. I kind of think this way about you where like pretty much every look works for you because you're really handsome.
Thanks, bud.
Like that's what, on a different level for him, apologies now, there's where I take it back away. But Kip, I feel like any look is going to look really good. He's starting with an amazing base.
Yeah. And I also saw the tweet that was like, what reason does any man have to look like this? And it was Kip shirtless for like working at a smoothie shop. And it's like, because he's just like a hot guy who lifts and is, I think, like 5'6", 5'7". As a 5'6" guy, you go to the gym like one time and you kind of look like that. It's the best part of being small.
Also, be hot. Like if you can be hot, be hot.
Right. Like your job doesn't necessarily have to define how in shape you are.
I would agree.
Few things I want to hit here. One, Scott looking at Kip during the warm-ups. Like that whole warm-up scene was awesome. That's where I was like, I am all in on this episode. Pausing the tickets.
I think that Scott should focus on the game a little bit more. Doing a lot of staring into the crowd.
For somebody who's trying real hard to be subtle.
Definitely.
Not the most subtle.
Like can't go to an art gallery with Kip where there's like 4 people, but during pregame warm-ups at a Major League Hockey game is like gawking into the crowd and waving at him.
I mean,
just not the most subtle. You're right there.
If we're going to talk about doing a bad job of being subtle, at the gala, there's a scene where Kip and Scott are talking to each other, and they do the I'm standing here looking this way, you're standing here looking this way, our faces are like this, and we're going to act like we're not talking to each other, but here's what's going on. 2 people are standing oddly close to each other, both staring at absolutely nothing and talking. I bet they're carrying on something they're trying to hide.
I will say, to be fair, I guess Kip was standing next to a woman.
Yeah,
sitting
fair.
next to a woman. So he has a little plausible deniability as to who he was waving at in particular.
Yeah,
but
fair.
also, I wasn't sure how I felt about his friend.
Oh, yeah.
Why? What do you mean?
Because I agree.
During the dance?
Yes.
Oh, where
it's
she
bad
like,
behavior.
Well, I don't know. I don't want to say
insertion.
I don't want to say it's bad behavior because like I appreciate what she was trying to do for Kip.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, I think it was a certain amount of ignorance, I guess, as to the situation that Scott finds himself in.
Yeah.
And like not appreciating, especially presumably, as like a straight woman being like, you need to like show Kip off to the world. I agree from her perspective as Kip's friend, but like I think you need to have a certain amount of grace for what that would mean for Scott.
Definitely, and I also think that you need to let people kind of like come to their own decisions and conclusions.
And I know this is
felt a little bit aggressive.
Yeah, but like I get that it's like a very complicated thing that gay couples, especially if somebody is like a public figure, has to deal with, like the balance between coming out at your own pace and all of that stuff, and also like what that means for any romantic partners you have. It's complicated, but it just felt a little it's like we've been dating kind of maybe for like 2 months maybe, and then just like this is my first time meeting you, and I'm going to insert myself in the middle of your relationship.
Not only
Something like a little bit
inserting
of a
into
step.
the middle of a relationship, and I would need to rewatch that scene, but and I feel this way about how much we talk about the show and all the adoration that we heap on this. I would not like this to turn into anybody feeling any sort of pressure to do anything that they're not yet comfortable doing. And in that scene, I feel like, and I could rewatch it, maybe I'm wrong, and if I'm wrong, I very much apologize. It felt like she was nudging him to come out. No?
It felt like she was nudging him to come out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like-
yeah.
Well,
I mean,
it was essentially like,
Which
she
obviously
was
I
saying,
feel-
speaking for Kip, like saying he doesn't want to be in like a secret relationship.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to be in the shadows.
completely
so like
fair.
if this is going to work, you're gonna have to like be comfortable being
Yeah, and
more in front of the public.
if that's the approach where you're like, I know my friend very well, and he'll tell you that he loves you and that he doesn't mind being hidden, but you need to know that he does. Like, if that's what where she's coming from, where she's like, I just need you to know the kind of man that you're getting in a relationship with and what makes him tick, that's fine. But pressuring, I think, anybody under any circumstance to come out when they're not ready to is slightly problematic.
Yeah.
But it's also like a real thing that happens.
I was going to
Right,
say, it's
yeah.
also like, this is
No,
why
but that's part
people
of-
who paint things in black and white terms
Yes.
are living
Right.
an unrealistic life, because this is a difficult thing. Do you think that Scott, who has the purest heart I've seen on the show, this side of Hayden, by the way, is like, has any sort of like bad ill will, like unpositive thoughts when it comes to the idea of coming out? I think it's more just like, fuck, this is this.
Right.
Like, it's more
That's why I liked
complicated
the
for him than
episode.
he wants it to be.
That's why
Yeah,
I like the episode
same.
so much, is because like they're nobody is the villain in this particular story, and nobody's the villain yet in this series at all. I would say maybe like was it Shane's mom?
I think the parents are. Shane's mom, Ilya's dad. But even Ilya's dad has a little bit of a redemption.
Or Ilya's brother. Ilya's brother
Ilya's
is
brother's
definitely
yeah.
the most villainous in the series so far. But particularly in episode 3, like nobody comes across as a villain or a bad person. And like somebody asked me on Twitter after I tweeted about it, was like, are you team Scott? Are you team Kip? And the answer is like, we don't have enough evidence to be against or anti or pick a side on either one of these
team
guys.
Skip.
Anyone, yeah. So like that's part of the reason that I felt so strongly about episode 3 being great, is because I feel like it handled the story and how difficult the perspective and the approach is from both sides of that relationship.
Yeah, while we're talking about people in Kip's life, we need to shout out Sean, who I did shout out earlier, but so supportive. What a good friend. Does not fire him for all that, and is like, hey, you clearly don't want to tell me something, so I'm not going to make you tell me anything, but take a couple minutes, get your shit together, and then come back out there. I think that, and at that point, I was like, there's no bad guys here. There's no, the villain, although I will get to a villain in a second, the villain is the circumstances.
Yeah.
It's not that anyone is like, there's no, until that dance scene, I was like, uh-oh, here are we maybe getting our bad guy? Like, there's no A Star Is Born. Remember in The Star Is Born, there's just that guy.
Yeah.
I think he's her manager or something.
Yeah.
And it's just like meddling and fucking up a very delicate thing where there's like an addict involved and he's just trying to.
This would be better if you were dead.
Yes.
It's
like there's none of that shit. And so in defense of Elena, she wasn't saying like,
correct,
this would be better if you would just stop being such a baby, you know?
And like shout out to Sean, shout out to Kip's entire support system.
Dad,
I was gonna say Kip's dad fucking rocks.
Elena, everybody, Sean, like that whole support system, A+.
I'm saying this as a straight man, so this might hit differently, but like I feel like instantly when I see a gay character, I'm naturally gonna go like, there's gonna be someone in his life who is telling him that being gay is wrong, and like or like looking down on him, and it was very refreshing to me to just see a gay man have a very nice, positive relationship with his father. Like, I feel like that's so rare in pop culture, mainly because I feel like gay characters are often written by straight people. But, like, it was just very nice to see that there's, like, you know, there are good people in the world. And, like, this guy has a good father who supports him being gay or supports him for who he is. Like, that was refreshing to me.
Are we going to call out what's being said in the chat right now?
Nice eyebrow guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, with somebody.
We have new listeners.
Somebody came into the chat and said, what are these guys' names? There's glasses guy and there's nice eyebrows guy. So I think you win in that battle in terms of like compliments. I'm just glasses guy, but congrats.
In defense of Pete, and thank you, I wanted someone to point that out. In defense of Pete, the glasses prevent you from seeing how nice his eyebrows are.
Thank you.
He's got the thick frames that cover up the eyebrows, but I'll take that compliment all day. Yes, we've talked about Kip's dad, who was just fantastic. I agree with everything you both said there. Now we need to talk about the only, and I say this tongue-in-cheek, potential villain here. Based on what I've seen so far in the show, I don't know if I would believe that Shane would be as mean as he was to Scott after their game, where he said, like, didn't even show up for this game or something. That was, like, mean.
I mean,
that wasn't trash talk. That was just like odd.
We haven't seen enough from Shane to suggest that he would do that.
Yeah.
Which, like, maybe there's more in the books. And by the way, like, if I can ask anything from the heated rivalry fan base that exists before the show, can you please, like, stop telling us to read the books? Or, like, you can suggest, like, you should read the books after all of this is done.
So
but
quit asking.
But
I'm not reading the books. I'm sorry.
I might read the books.
I'm not
at some
going to.
point.
I don't
probably
like reading
won't,
that much.
But like allow this to exist as a TV show, and like please give some space to like people who don't know what's coming, whether it's plot or whether it's like ignorance, because there was a lot of people being like, well, they're gonna get to the stuff that's coming down the road. The first 2 episodes were just for setup. All I have are the first 2 episodes and what's in front of me. Can I please like have an evaluation based off of what's in front of me?
Yes.
And please allow some space for me to find things out later on.
Yeah,
and
that's
that's why episode 3 I felt was very, very awesome to me, because it changes the way that I look at the first 2 episodes, because I know what the show is capable of in terms of exploring relationships.
Pete's saying, you know, you're all so happy to hear some straight guys talking about this show, which again, I said my piece on that last week. I'm like, a lot of straight people are talking about the show. It shows that in terms of media, maybe the bar is the floor, but I know that everyone who's watching this show absolutely fucking digs it. So that's good. But the other side of a straight guy talking about this show, that straight boy don't want to read. Pete's not going to read books.
I read books. I can read. I'm beating the allegations.
If I read nonfiction.
Right. I'm the only one that
Same.
reads fiction here.
So you are the required.
I would be the target audience.
That is true. If anyone's going to read these books, it is Pete. Sean and I are both nonfiction boys only, and I'm finishing up a book right now that's nonfiction. And you know what I'm going to do next? I'm going to read a book about money. I'm going to do anything before I read
Freakonomics.
Yeah,
it's a good book about like the incentive structure of like the Western economy.
Interesting.
What were you trying to say about the chirp at the end?
I just thought that was like you didn't show up for this. That just seemed fucking meaner than I know that chirps out there they're typically more creative, and they're so mean that they seem like not mean.
I don't have an issue with the meanness of the chirp. I have an issue with more of what you were saying beforehand, which was that like there's not enough reason to believe that Shane would be that mean.
And especially like the captain on captain thing and the Scott, like in my brain, and I could be wrong on this, but I get with Scott Hunter, I get let me think, not like a Crosby level, but just like been in the league for a while, really, really respect, like maybe like a Patrice Bergeron type, where like not the best player in the league, but he certainly comes off as the gentleman of the league.
Well, he's way older too, which is like, and I think that a lot of,
and I just think like people aren't saying that. Like a fellow captain is not saying that. to a Patrice Bergeron type, but maybe he's not a Patrice Bergeron type.
Right.
Maybe I'm just basing it on the fact that Francois Arnault, thank you, I've learned your name, I apologize on the mispronunciation, is also from Quebec.
Right. We don't know a ton about him as a hockey player and like sort of the attitude that he brings to the ice. We know what he's like off of the ice, which is a gentleman and says all the right things, but could be one of those guys who like has a switch where once he's in competitive mode, once he's on the ice, he could talk a ton of shit.
And I'll say, damn, when Scott hit him back with the, you're starting to sound like him, whew, that set him off.
Yeah. That was a good one.
I just need to say, apparently don't read Freakonomics. Chat was very upset about that. I got assigned to read it in high school a decade ago. Apparently every bit of it's been disproven, and it's not a good book at all. So don't read Freakonomics, according to the chat.
Look at Sean.
But somebody pointed out that like that's part of like the character development, I guess, of Shane and him spending so much time with Ilya. That like, yeah, it seems a little unexpected for Shane to act like that because it is a way in which his character is developed. It's not necessarily who the Shane that we were introduced to is. But that's the Shane he's become.
But that's kind of the issue that I had with the time jumps in the first couple of episodes is that, and I get like they may have had to do it with the time that they were allotted, but we don't really see that character development a ton in terms of him like growing as like a person, as a player, and turning into what he is now apparently in like that moment.
Yeah. I also think there's like to a certain extent, I assume every hockey player chirps a little bit. So I feel like it would be weird for me not to assume that he wouldn't say stuff. I just think
the end of a game, like you fucking lost, man. Like it's over. You beat him.
Yeah. But they're also like kind of boys too. Like there's a history of them being friendly. So like, I don't know. It might not have been like as intended to be. It might have been intended to be a little more friendly than Scott took it, which is why it kind of escalated so quickly.
I'm overanalyzing that line for sure.
Well, I mean, a part of the thing that could justify that line is somebody said in the chat, like, that's part of why he says you're starting to sound like him because it's out of character for Shane.
Very fair.
Yeah.
This is why we talk about these things. I also need to say that a big reason, another like big counterweight to this episode, and a reason why I will watch it on its own probably 100 times in my life, is it is so New York. That storyline and that love story felt so New York for me. Like the energy of someone going for a run, popping into a juice bar, meeting someone, exchanging some stuff, like becoming a regular, hit it off. Oh, I like the guy at the juice place. Hey, this athlete's been coming. Like it just all felt so, the energy of it felt so New York.
Even the gay bar.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that place was awesome. I like they turned it into a hockey bar. Any bar can be a hockey bar.
I do like that they were like that Kip was pretending like he did not like Scott and that it really wasn't a big deal when as soon as he met Scott, he just became a huge hockey fan and went to the gay bar. I was like, can we put on the hockey game, please?
Well,
every time.
In his defense, he did say that he watches the games with his dad sometimes.
Yeah, he was like a casual. But are you a casual who doesn't know the star player for your team?
And it seemed like he was a regular at that bar, but had just started turning on the game at the bar.
Yes.
So
yes. Another demerit on Elena, by the way, she's kind of a dick to the bartender. Like she near the end, she came in and she's just like, I forget what his name is, but she's just like, remote.
Oh yeah,
and then he brings over the remote. I get that that's me being nitpicky. That's a relationship because she also had brought the bartender food.
Right.
So like it was definitely a little like tongue in cheek. She's just being an asshole to her friend, but
and not to stereotype or like generalize, but like the gay friends that I have, the woman in that group is usually like kind of an endearing dickhead.
Fair.
And that's what I've noticed. Very, very strong personalities for women who hang around like groups of gay men.
Right. Okay. Thank you very much. Aaliyah, I believe, who says that Kip's dad is a fan of the other New York team.
Oh, so he's an Islanders fan.
Okay, so that would make sense there.
Scott's got to be a Ranger, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Quick, getting back to Heated Rivalry, Scott does need to learn how to lock the fuck in. He's way too distracted before gold medal matches in the Olympics. You got to lock the fuck in.
I know. I was that person playing hockey that had to be reminded, finish getting dressed. We go on the ice in 2 minutes. Captain of Team USA
Oh boy. Lock the fuck in, please.
I'll say I looked. I didn't see any with the. We can ask. I'll just say it. Jacob Tierney's going to be on the show. So excited. We can ask him if they needed to dye the socks to be that color of the blueberries, because Amazon does have blue socks with bananas on them, but it's more of like a fun, light, tealish type thing. And those socks were well blue.
Can we do a smoothie grade real quick?
Like, how does that
Blueberry banana?
sound?
No, like I feel like, not to overanalyze, but I feel like the preparation of the smoothie was not up to grade for a person working at a smoothie shop.
I don't know what you mean.
There was a lot of juice. A lot of juice. Like, if we're doing ratio, too much juice, not enough, like, smoothie.
I'll be honest, not really paying attention to the ingredients outside of him very seductively peeling a banana.
When he was nice.
Also, you see the bowl of fruit and vegetables that was there?
No.
It was oops all dick and balls.
I mean, that
Oh,
I'm guessing
really?
was
Yeah.
intentional.
Well, I mean, so are all the jerseys in Major League Hockey.
Yeah.
It's just
To be-
all phallic shit.
Most fruit is ball shaped. So, but yeah, I mean, I'm guessing that's very intentional. It also, yeah, it was.
When I think of a smoothie, like, I'm not thinking Dairy Queen level, tip it upside down, it doesn't come out, but
Got to be a thickness to it.
there's got to be a thickness to it.
I mean, the best part of a strawberry, of any smoothie with banana in it, is getting the chunks of actual banana.
Chat just said, don't drop that Jacob Tierney's going to be on the show and just move on and talk about smoothies. You are clearly new to this show. That is exactly what we would do. We would give the good part for 1 second and then
What
say,
else do you want to say?
yeah,
yeah,
what do you want?
He's
Like,
going to be on the show.
we can't, like, predict what's going to happen. We
It's
got a show
going
to
to
do
be
today.
exclusively questions.
Yeah,
about,
today is about smoothies.
It's going to be exclusively questions about
You've
his role
got
as
the
a pastor in
foremost
Letterkenny.
Four Eyes banana smoothie expert breaking it down.
That's not true. That's me.
Yeah?
I grew up on strawberry banana smoothies.
I famously would be the last person who could have smoothies because I'm allergic to bananas.
You can have non-banana smoothies.
I didn't want to address it. I'm on Team Sandy, Sabrina here. Chunks of banana is kind of crazy.
What?
Like, I don't want chunks of banana. I want banana in my smoothie, and I want it blended up. How are you getting chunks?
I
Are
mean,
you
when
saying like slices?
No, like, I mean, you blend it up, but it doesn't completely turn into like complete liquid. Like, there's still a little bit of chunks of fruit in the
Okay,
smoothie.
fair. I just feel like chunks is a weird way to
No,
describe
like,
it.
it comes up
it's
the straw.
Consistency.
No,
yeah.
I like when I'm drinking a strawberry banana smoothie and I get like it's like, oh, something stuck, and then all of a sudden I have to force a chunk of banana through the straw, and I have like something like kind of bite through. Like, yeah, that's a perfect strawberry banana smoothie.
I don't like. I think one of my least favorite parts of doing smoothies is when it blocks the straw,
It needs to be
and then you have
small
to
enough.
suck hard, and then it goes and you like choke.
I don't want it to like
No jokes
ruin
there,
the
please.
experience of drinking a smoothie, but I do like there to be like a little chunky that comes up through. Like, I don't want to be drinking juice.
Right, exactly. Yeah, like you want the thicker consistency.
Yeah, but I like there to be a little bit of variation where there's
Glad
like I get a little bit of a chunk banana and I have to actually bite through it. It's not like a smoothie.
I'm glad we worked through that.
Yes.
This was a good breakdown. I would say that it was 80% smoothie talk, not enough Kip's dad talk, but again, like kind of with the Jacob Tierney being on the show thing, what else can we say about Kip's dad other than perfect character, perfect person?
Did we get
I was told by a certain someone who is going to be on the show that my taste in saying that I was a Hayden guy is good. That like good taste in like aligning yourself with Hayden. Hayden's a good guy. If anything bad comes out about Hayden, I'll be upset. If anything bad comes out about Kip's dad, though, I'm done.
Do we know what the story of his parents are like on the other side? Is he like a widow? Is he divorced?
You're saying you don't know the story with Scott Hunter's parents?
No.
No, Kip's
Kip's
parents.
I don't know. I don't know.
I definitely know the story of Scott Hunter's parents.
Fucking
It was a pretty
insane
devastating
thing
story.
to be like, we haven't mentioned his parents at all. Oh, by the way, gruesome car accident, died instantly. And by the way, I need you to know instantly. They died instantly. I'm going to make sure that's a focal point of my speech that my parents didn't suffer at all when they got hit by that car because they died instantly.
And when I say dead, folks,
like, didn't even see it coming. They were awake and then they were
Decapitated
dead instantly.
Yeah. Not even a question.
Just in case you didn't know.
Oh, in the book, both parents are in the picture. I don't know. I got big widow energy or widower.
Yeah, that's like
energy.
dad who had to step up and play both roles kind of vibe.
Yeah. So I want to find out more about that. I want more of Kip's parents.
I don't know. I think a mom in the picture might ruin the vibe. I
Now-
kind of just like the dad-son
No women.
relationship.
Here's a difficult
Elena's it.
Here's a difficult question, and I don't want anyone doing I think that opening the can of worms of like I like Scott and Kip more than I like Shane and Ilya will piss off a lot of people because everyone's gonna have people that they prefer. Obviously, it was just very hard to watch Scott and Kip without smiling like a big dopey baby the whole time because we love, and that's amazing. How are we going to feel when we go back to Shane and Ilya? Because I will not lie, I did send you boys a text message saying, bye, Shane and Ilya. Don't like you anymore. You're sloppy. We like Kip and Scott now.
I'll go back to what I said earlier. The bar has been raised for Ilya and Shane. But at the same time, I'm also more excited to get back to there as to what ground needs to be covered with those two and knowing how many stands those two have as like a couple, like on the internet. There's so many. What's like the relationship
The couple
compound
name for
Celebrity name.
Yeah, I forget what it is for Ilya and Holanov or something like that.
Brangelina.
How many stands that they have as a couple makes me very, very confident that we are going to get to some awesome places with them, and I'm excited to see it.
What I've seen from this show tells me they would not be making it if they weren't going to deliver.
Yeah, and also like I like the Skip relationship, but I think it's way less interesting without the context of the Holanov relationship, where like it makes me want to go back to Holanov because now I'm like, I think it emphasizes kind of the struggle that I think Shane's character in particular is going to have, not getting kind of like the cutesy relationship part of the relationship.
Yeah,
right.
Each relationship serves to show or to underscore what is not present in the other relationship.
Correct.
Like there's so much of Skip that is not there in Holanov. And obviously, we're talking about 4 different people, 4 different lives, et cetera, but these relationships are also extremes in that one is mostly physical to begin with, and the other is very, very emotional.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And they both serve different stories and experiences, and I like that they both exist. But I think that some of the issues that I had in the first couple of episodes, trying to either like relate or like have it be, it resonate, have sort of been answered by what we saw in episode 3, and that's why I'm excited.
If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to What Chaos here on YouTube. You will get everything, daily episodes, player interviews, and so much more. It's all here on the What Chaos YouTube. Hit subscribe. Now we've got like potentially a relationship that shouldn't be going on. We've got these 2 boys who we know have feelings for each other, feuding, and in like a I can fuck other people off. Now we're cooking. Let's get to Heated Rivalry, episode 4, Rose. This is an episode in which the tables are turned for our boys. Ilya's comfort with the arrangement and Shane's discomfort are at an all-time high, and a fateful exchanging of names leads Shane to a night and a decision that further complicates everything for our boys. Let's get into it. This episode ranges from 2014 to 2016, which I think might be like minimal.
I was going to say
jumps.
succinct, an awfully succinct.
Yeah, they're usually going like 33 years per episode. During these 2 years, the Metros win not once, but twice. They win the cup twice. And as I was writing in my notes, Metros on Dynasty Watch, ? I believe it was Man in the Crease.
Probably, yeah.
Who says, are the Metros on Dynasty Watch? Not bad. Are the Metros on Dynasty Watch? They won 2 years in a row.
Is Man on the Crease on comeback arc watch?
No,
Okay.
because we don't even know if that was definitely them. I will say Metro's are on like Dynasty watch.
Oh yeah. Yeah, 2 is not enough, but
Yeah.
it's enough to put you on.
We're looking out for whether you might be on
You've
Dynasty
opened
watch.
like the 2-year window, 2 to 3 year window to get one more.
Yeah, right.
There's also during this, there's a montage to Feist's "My Moon, My Man." This was an enormous music episode, as we
Big
will
time.
discuss later. Like the 2 big things with this episode, the 3, actually 4: low lighting, tables being turned, straight people not doing great in the conversation, and
Yeah.
good music.
Yeah, I get what you're saying with the tables being turned thing, but it's still Shane being uncomfortable with where things are.
Oh yeah, I mean, but our sweet boy,
He's the one
that
pushing.
boy was born to not be comfortable.
Yeah, and he's the one now pushing it away.
That's what I'm saying.
Right,
That's
yeah,
the
I get it.
Turning of the tables. This is not Hayden's strongest episode because I'm starting to not like the way that he talks, and he's on sex addict watch, having a 4th baby.
Yeah, I mean, Shane put him on sex addict watch. He was like, "You're doing this again," which is
yeah.
not an ideal teammate and captain way to respond to your pal announcing
I
another
think
baby.
that's how Antonio Gates was reacting to Philip Rivers back.
But
in the day.
four is not 12. Philip Rivers is fielding a football team.
I feel like once you hit 4, you are having a lot of kids.
Yes.
Like 3 is like, and
Yeah.
my mom had 3 kids, so I guess maybe a little biased, but like once you have the 4th, it's like, okay, now you have.
4th is not outrageous.
It's not outrageous, but it's a lot. It's a
4
lot
is
of kids.
4 is I don't know if would you say big family? Yeah, 4 is a big. I'm one of 4 kids. There's 6 members of our family, plus occasionally there's dogs in the mix.
Yeah.
That's a big family.
Well, that's a pretty big family. Yeah.
Okay.
That's a big family.
But to your point about the
I wouldn't put him on sex addict watch.
well, but to your point about the sex addict thing, or I
4
guess
is
not
too
your
many
point,
times to have sex.
He proceeded to be like, I am going to masturbate so much in this hotel.
Oh,
room.
that's a good point. Yeah, okay, I'm putting him back on sex addict watch because
He was-
he was saying he was going to jerk off multiple
He was
times in the
I am-
hotel
I-
room.
and he's like, that's my tradition. Every time I'm in a hotel room, I'm jerking it because that's what I love to do in hotel rooms.
Here's a thing
and
that I would like.
he was like doing the hit that chat.
Yes. So he said hit that. As for the hotel room thing, there's a weird thing where like people masturbate in hotel rooms. We know that.
People masturbate everywhere,
People masturbate everywhere, yet they feel the need to talk about the fact that people masturbate in hotel rooms. Like, got a hotel room to yourself? Oh, I know what this one will be doing. Like, and Hayden's just volunteering it. Hayden, I DM'd Jacob Tierney saying I liked you. I put my fucking reputation on the line, and this is how you repay me with hotel room masturbation watch?
I think that a lot of the hotel masturbation stuff is like there is a real motive to masturbate immediately when you get to a hotel room.
Yes.
And that I think is more unique to
hotel rooms
than anything else. Like nowhere else do you really like you get somewhere and you're like, I need to jerk off in here.
Yeah,
or you
like-
shouldn't.
Yeah, like, I'm at CVS. Fuck.
Yeah, right. Unless you're who's the Red Sox catcher? Reese McGuire?
former.
Yeah,
But yes.
former Red Sox catcher Reese McGuire, who is just like, this parking lot is looking awfully tasty.
Gotta.
This parking lot.
But don't fucking mention it to him.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes. Shout out to Shane for saying don't hit that. You don't need to be gay, bi, sexually confused, anything to have conviction in telling somebody to not say hit that. When Pete and I started our first podcast a million years ago, one of the core principles was we will never be accused of being 2 guys who are talking shop, which is partially why I'm so happy, but also a little like, oh, if only you knew, when we get DMs being like, it's so cool that you guys are talking like this now. And I'm like, oh, I've been called a lot of names over the years for talking like this.
Yeah.
This is
not a pivot.
this is not this is a new or that this is not a new thing. We've, for better or worse, been talking like this. Yes.
If you want 2 months of Mamma Mia 2 content, go ahead and hit the archives, brother.
Yes. So the boys meet at Ilya's and have a combination of sex and hockey talk. And that, until it takes a bit of a turn and emotions run high, I think just like peak dudes rock.
Yeah, that's what I keep trying to convince my wife to get into is the hockey talk plus the other stuff. But my big note is Ilya's house has a lot of fucking windows for closeted daytime gay sex.
I did see that. On the right, there was just like a whole ass oops, all you can see whatever you want.
Yeah.
But again, I think that's important because I've been kind of keeping a mental log of Ilya being so cool about this, borderline blasé about this, not borderline blasé about this, straight up blasé about this, and Shane being so measured and so careful and uptight. It would make sense for what if either of the two are to have an oops all windows home, it would be Ilya.
Yeah, for sure.
Shane's is all windows too. Like his cottage on the lake is like it's all. Granted, they weren't having sex in that one, but he's a big window guy too.
Okay.
Apparently, the windows aren't for natural light though.
While we're talking about Ilya's apartment, shout out to Ilyan or Ali on Twitter for putting Ilya on Too Many Lamps watch. Now, as someone who has a lot of low lights, I've been told that low lights are for girls and the gays.
Not true.
Incorrect.
Not true.
How do you explain? I guess my girlfriend, unfortunately, is a girl. But like, I was gonna say, how do you explain my home?
I'm the better example because I have been hammering.
You're the driving factor.
Yeah.
But I was indoctrinated into it. My girlfriend got me into it, and now I'm obsessed.
Definitely. It's the way to go. Do not have big overhead lights, especially bright ones.
But can you throw up the lamp watch again? There are 4 pictures that Ali tweeted, and we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. In one picture has 5 lamps.
Six. You're missing the arrow here that's pointing to another hidden lamp on the other end table.
So many.
There's 6, and 2 of those lamps are 3-headed lamps.
Yo, my guy.
So he's got lots of bulbs.
I call him Ilya. No, I'm dyslexic. I thought I could have made his name into a lamp pun, but Ilya
Lampanov.
There are
Bulbanov. Bulbasaur?
So many lamps, not to be confused with some things that look like bulbs that are on that backside of his. Just a little glazing, just a little objectifying, but we're not going to do it much. As these two boys sit on the couch, you notice the distance. It's so far. It's a big-ass couch. It's the one that we had in Detroit. Devotees know we had a big-ass couch in Detroit and loved it. They are talking hockey post-coital and just so far apart from each other. And I'm like, you know that Shane wants to get on his phone and text Ilya. We didn't even sit close to each other. And it's such a bummer because they're so far apart. They eventually start to move closer to each other. But the conversation is Ilya just being so cool. Like the way that they're sitting, by the way, Ilya is slouching. He's like this. His shirt is off.
Hand in the pants.
I
love that.
And you know where Shane's hands are?
In his pockets?
You have him up on the couch, right?
Nope.
Or do you just have him like on his lap, on the side?
He has like very nervous energy of like, am I allowed to be here kind of thing?
I feel like
6 feet apart because they're not gay.
Yes, that's what I was thinking that too.
Yeah.
Ilya or Shane is a very much like whether like gay or straight, I feel like it's very relatable in terms of like I remember going over to like a girl's house for the first time in high school and being like, I don't know what to do here. I don't know how to behave. I was a very nerdy kid in high school. Like I don't if a girl's paying me any kind of positive attention, I don't know what to do with that. And Shane kind of had that energy where
I
he was
still
like,
do that and I'm married.
Yeah, fair enough. But he was just like he was waiting for like the cameras to come out like this, like he's getting pranked. Like there's no way that Ilya could possibly like him. He had a very like uncomfortable disposition, which I feel like I like for the character.
See, which, by the way, I didn't receive it that way, or I didn't perceive it that way. In that, like, it just felt like kind of normal. It felt like they were just boys, and that to me was like the first time that I'd seen them as boys.
I don't know. Shane.
It seemed like Rosanov was
yes,
like, I'm just here with my boy. We fuck sometimes, and Shane was very much the thing that you're talking about where like you're new to either sex or a sexual relationship.
Yeah.
And you don't know, like looking at that couch being like, I've never been so confused looking at a couch.
Yeah,
Where
like,
do I sit?
I don't like there's. I want to be next to him, but in order for me to do that, I have to make like a very obvious, like I have to slide over the couch, and that's going to be awkward. And is that going to fuck up the vibe? Like I'm gonna just keep my ass over here and not do anything weird that's going to make him not like me anymore.
Also, the chat has noted this. I was going to bring it up. Rachel Reed mentioned on a podcast recently that it is canon in the Heated Rivalry universe that Shane is neurodivergent, autistic specifically. So
We don't have that in the show, right? They haven't mentioned that.
it has not been mentioned, but Jacob and co were like took that note, applied it, etc. Which like I like as someone who like I'm not autistic, but technically neurodivergent, and like sometimes I just like get up and walk away from things and just kind of like have to stand somewhere else for a little bit to sort of recharge. And there's scenes in this show where Shane, maybe I'm reading into it too much, Shane clearly has some like, even when he went to just try to like sit by himself when he was at the bar, like I'm not unhappy in this situation, but I just like need to be in less of it for a couple of minutes.
The bar
He gets a
situation,
lot of those moments.
the bar situation made me think for like a second that he was having a panic attack, which like
I thought he was going to vomit.
Oh really? I thought that he was
I
having like a bit of a panic.
He
attack.
he had 2 beers, which he hadn't drank in however long.
Yeah.
I thought he
Also-
was just like going to vomit.
Huge episode for ginger ale. Massive episode for ginger ale and Shane's love for ginger ale. So I'm a big fan of giving a round of applause for ginger ale.
I
'cause
agree.
It deserves it.
Ginger ale, Mount Rushmore sodas.
Have you had the cranberry ginger ale?
Yeah, I haven't prior.
It is
I know that's your
fucking
thing.
unbelievable.
Ginger ale rocks. Cranberry ginger ale. Cheers, like Cheers, the bar, downtown Boston, whatever it's actually called. They do Shirley Temples, and they'll ask you Sprite or ginger ale.
That's
Shirley Temple with
great
ginger ale,
behavior.
bangs.
Great
But
behavior.
is there, and I'm sure the chat would know if there is there symbolism behind the fact that it is ginger ale in particular? Like I know that ginger ale is kind of like it's like the medicine soda. I don't think it's caffeinated, so I get that. But like, is there? Everything's been so intentional in terms of like the logos, things like that. Like I was just curious if there was a reason it was ginger ale in particular.
Yeah, that's a good question. I can't think of it off the top of my head, but chat, let us know how ginger ale is either phallic or
right?
a
Like
butt.
it's kind of
Because
everything else is intentional.
we know that Jacob been cooking.
I also, while we're asking the chat things, I want to throw this out. Does the chat know why San Francisco has a team and why it's not San Jose? Because every other team.
So
Yeah, they
like,
get a Sunrise, Florida mention in this episode.
Yeah.
And
I heard you guys. I was working on something, so I like kind of sat out the conversation. I would assume that San Francisco is
San
in this
Jose.
instead of San Jose because, like, if you're gonna go with the team in the Bay, like San Francisco has much more of a queer reputation.
Well, that's
and, like,
kind of what I was
history.
getting at. Like, I was curious if it was just because it is so well known for having such a large gay community. But like
That's my guess.
that's my guess too. But every other city that they have, Buffalo, Sunrise, like is very specific in like the 1-to-1. So I was curious what that was.
so the scene at Ilya's house, him getting ginger ale because he knows that Shane likes it was a
Yes.
nice
Yep.
touch.
And the tuna melt.
Keeps it cold for him.
So the tuna melt thing was interesting to me because I do have a friend who read the books and was like, wait till you get the tuna melt scene. And like out of context, I thought this was going to be a weird sex thing. And I was like, I don't know if I want, like when the tuna melt scene was happening, I was like kind of watching through my fingers because I thought that there was going to be a weird fucking tuna melt sex scene.
Yeah, I don't
and it
need
turns out that like the tuna melt is just the pivot point for seemingly Ilya
like caring.
caring
Yeah.
and opening up and bringing some walls down and like showing that he actually cares for Shane, which is not what I thought it was going to be, but a very, very welcome surprise.
Yes.
Well, the biggest moment in that and the biggest like change or olive branch, whatever, olive branch would be the wrong term, but like they start hooking up again on the couch and it is Ilya who first says a real last name. First name.
Yeah.
And like
Shane.
that sends Shane off on, I mean, that might be panic attack possibility number 1, but he crashes out and is like, yo, respect to this man, gotta go.
He does say Ilya back though.
Yes, he does, but like he catches himself being like, I don't know, yeah, I've never experienced it in the way that these folks did, but like just in general, you want something so bad, you save up money for something or whatever, you get it, and then you're just like, fuck, did I need to get that or whatever?
I
Like
wasn't ready for this.
That was me with the PSP, like when I was like 13 years old. Spent an entire summer mowing lawns to buy a PSP, and I got the PSP, and I was like, I don't even really like this, and I felt like a real existential dread in that moment.
See, but in this case, it's definitely not an I don't like this. It's like either I'm not prepared for this because this guy's probably still 20 years old at this point. He is overcome, has to get out of there. We've already documented that he does not drink. And
which people are pointing out that it's ginger ale. It is like the beer substitute. And the only place he can get it is from Ilya. Every place that he tries to get ginger ale, they tell him they don't have it.
Well, that's not true. At the bar, the bartender did say that he had ginger ale, but I didn't like the behavior on that bartender who was like, oh, yeah, we have it, but what are you, a fucking pussy?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And I was like, what the fuck? Like, what if he's sober?
Yeah.
Like,
Also,
he's choosing not to drink, but what if he's an alcoholic?
Yeah.
Bad behavior.
Casting director problematic watch. The allegations stay because when you first saw that bartender, and granted, people in every profession are very attractive, even juice baristas. I was like, this person's way too legit to just be playing the bartender here. Are we getting some sort of thing? Is this guy going to be like an important character in the show? And no, just an extremely hot person who's kind of judging Shane for not drinking alcohol.
I will say,
bad guy, but
if like maybe he's one of those like mixologists. Like he takes the craft really seriously and offended. Like the same kind of guy, although he did give him a beer, I guess.
Yeah.
But the same kind of a guy that would be like, oh, you want a vodka soda? Fucking loser.
Chat notes. Bartender judges Shane for drinking ginger ale. Know who doesn't? Ilya.
Yeah. I mean,
He makes sure he keeps it cold for him.
He has it for him. Like,
That's the best part. That's like one of my favorite lines of the episode. He says, "Is the ginger ale cold enough for you?"
Yeah, right.
He wants
cares.
everything to be right for his guy. Now, Shane goes to this party with teammates and meets actor Rose Landry. And there's a great line as he's talking about his upbringing. He says, "It got more intense, hockey, so I guess I got intense too." I was like, outside of us being fanboys of this show, that's a real line. Like, I get that. Shit gets more intense around you. You get intense. Maybe you're not just an intense guy. I think that you are, but, like, you're also kind of a product of your environment. And when you go from being a kid who's good at hockey to you are the next big thing, I could see how that changes you a little bit. Ilya's teammate shows them the page 6 story about Shane and Rose Landry. And this is where we get to peak. Not a great episode for the Straights. Ilya's teammate says, quote, "I'd be fucking happy if I was banging Rose fucking Landry. I'm so sorry on behalf of not all straight men, not all men. I am apologetic to aliens who might be listening to this episode on behalf of the human race for that fucking character in that moment. I'd be fucking happy if I was banging Rose fucking Landry. Horrible.
I mean,
It's not that horrible.
dudes talk
Shout
like
out
that.
to Rose. Yeah.
Dudes talk like that. Like
I get the sentiment.
Not dudes that I
I mean, I don't talk like that.
Yeah.
My friends don't talk like that, but dudes definitely talk like that.
I didn't see a problem with it. Didn't see a problem
The
with
the
anything
fucking-
involving Rose
the
either.
fucking height of cringe. Very important, speaking of teammates.
I also found it weird that they were watching like Hollywood News in the training room while on the bike at the NHL facility, or the MLH facility. I feel like that's probably not happening in a lot of places.
The chat is saying that the actor who showed Ilya that article
Oh, it's
is
Harrison
someone
Brown.
Harrison Brown.
Yeah.
Trans pro hockey player.
Oh.
Shout out Tierney in the casting. I will say though, I guess to the alternate point of apologizing for straight men, the Rose's gay friend. Sorry, I guess I'm assuming Rose's friend that was giving eyes to Ilya and then kissing on Shane's neck, which was. I don't feel like we got enough of what was going on there.
Yeah.
Being like
That
Rose
was
is
weird as
Rose
fuck.
is
They
trying to
opened
get
it up
into
a
a
little bit.
threesome with.
Yeah.
I don't. Which like do you? I guess, but like very crazy to be like to think you're dating a straight man who's a high profile athlete and then be like, we're gonna try and trick this guy into a threesome though.
I mean, I don't know if there was any like I don't know
Not
what was
trick,
happening there.
but-
It was a weird situation. There wasn't.
It's a club in Montreal also, so like that's clubbing in Montreal.
I guess it was just maybe I would have liked to see the friend receive a little bit more interest back before being that.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Forward.
In fairness, Shane does not appear interested in his own girlfriend.
Well, no, Shane was dancing with
Yeah.
his girlfriend, and
He
then
was pogo sticking.
But then the gay friend comes up behind him without any kind of
Right.
which again, very very male behavior in clubs. So whatever, but like, yeah, I don't trickery is not the right word, but like it was that was weird, and that came 30 seconds after he was clearly trying to fuck Ilya too.
Yeah. I feel like we're definitely getting a threesome at some point in this series, whether it's Svetlana in the mix because Svetlana has expressed interest in Shane physically. There's Rose and Rose's friend, who I believe is named Miles. There's definitely a threesome coming. I know it.
There has to be.
I know it.
I mean, if we're getting, well, I guess not competing, but like they're already for gay men doing the hard part of a threesome with a woman, which is having sex with women. So like they're halfway there. You might as well.
This ends in a club showdown between Shane and Ilya in an I like other people off.
Yeah.
And I know that there's conversations about is Ilya bi, is Shane gay, is like they are just insisting to each other, it's not just you. It's I don't fucking care about you that much. And this is the first time that Ilya's had to do that as like a defense mechanism because he's always been just kind of doing that anyway, where he's like, oh yeah, I like girls. Yeah, I fucked another guy before. Yeah, who cares? Whatever. And now he's like, look, a girl. I'm into that. Yeah, I don't even care about you that much. And they're really in this kind of showdown, and it's setting up well. It's setting up well for a final couple of episodes. Need to note the music in this scene. Tattoos, All the Things She Said, a classic, amazing. It then transitions to a cover of All the Things She Said that is now on the iTunes charts. People really received that one well. Different strokes for different folks. I like the original. The original one's an absolute banger.
Yeah. Great song.
Great song. Also need to note, Hayden is shown on the ice. Did you notice his number?
No.
Hayden wears 35.
There you go.
Hayden wears number
There's
35.
your guy.
Yeah, but I don't know if he's my guy after this one.
Well, but I mean, I feel like if there's one thing we've learned over watching these episodes is we got to wait until episode 6 before we're judging anybody because
Yes.
it's
He's
clear
also
that
not
this-
problematic. He's just fucking horny.
Yeah.
And like to be fair, like he doesn't know obviously that Shane is gay, so maybe the methods that he's using are not the most PC, but like he is just trying to set his friend up with somebody. He wants to see his friend happy. Ultimately, like even when they're in the hotel, he's like, "Why are you being so weird? Just tell me you're going to have sex. Like I don't care. You're my bro." So that yeah, but there's some. I don't like the way he goes about it. I agree.
I did find it interesting that like Ilya was the one who was like, I need to go out tonight and get laid because I'm pissed that Shane is stepping out, so to speak. And then he's the one who goes home alone and just JOs in the shower.
I mean,
But yeah,
typically the guy who says, I need to go out and get laid is the person who does not find a sexual partner for that evening.
But my point is that he easily could have gotten laid.
yeah, and I think that's kind of the point of the whole
Right.
episode is that like they have in some ways swapped roles.
Right.
I like the scene of the best scene in the entire episode to me was was Ilya saying Hollander after he had called him Shane, and you could see like the Hollander, like when he was clearly like you could see the kind of the pain and stuff like that. Like that I liked a lot because I think it really represented where they are at now at this point in the relationship. But yeah, I mean, I Ilya certainly could have gone home, but I think ultimately what we're learning is that Ilya knows what he feels and who he feels it about, and it's that he has feelings for Shane.
Okay, I have some remaining notes here too. Wild that Shane appears to not be pulling the goaltender if he's doing the unprotected.
I guess we don't know.
We don't know,
Yeah.
but after the pregnancy discussion to open up the episode, to him not be pulling the goaltender with Rose is kind of crazy. I also was very taken.
Maybe he's wearing dick tape. Remember that?
Yes.
People forget. They tried to come up with dick tape as a
insane.
contraceptive.
Do you remember? Do you know dick tape?
No.
It's exactly what
Never
it sounds
tried it
like.
myself.
It's you just put the tape over the pee hole, and that prevents.
Which always
pregnancy,
confused
I
me
guess.
because I was like, do they know how pipes work? It's got to go somewhere.
Yeah.
I know that sounds so uncomfortable.
That was, I think, the one thing they didn't consider.
All right.
I really needed them to come up with something better than X Squad.
Oh, for
For-
X-Men?
yeah.
Or like for the superhero thing? Yeah.
That was tough.
Oh, see, that was fine. So, like, I didn't like, if I was fucking big, like, that one rattled me. I was totally fine with X Squad.
X Squad fucking really
Yeah, that
threw me off.
Yeah. I
It
was like,
sounded so bootleg. I like that they acknowledged for what I believe the first time that Shane is Asian. I don't
no,
think
they
it was.
did
No,
in the
first
first
episode.
episode.
Did they really?
Because the
Okay.
GM, the GM of Montreal was like, and we love the fact that he's Asian.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. But I was.
But yes.
I liked it, forgetting that they had already mentioned
And it was like a weird, not weird, but like a very like the fact that he acknowledged the fact that he had a Western name, like shielded him from some of the criticism that his other Asian teammates had when he was growing up, was like a fascinating little tidbit of like the levels of which racism is applied in the like. I don't know. I just found that like
So I guess
very tiny detail.
I guess
fascinating.
I'll pivot to say I'm glad that it's kind of acknowledged by Shane for the first time, and maybe some of the what he's dealt with in terms of that. And then finally, again, I know I mentioned the tuna melt scene and expecting it to be something different. It was very, very distracting knowing that they had just eaten tuna melts
someone mentioned this in the
and
chat.
were like heavy breathing on each other, then spitting in their hands for a double-barreled JO.
What I will say is that
Horrible.
at least they both had tuna melts.
Yeah.
Because if you show up to that interaction and just Ilya's had a tuna melt, then that becomes really problematic.
Yeah, but I don't know if two wrongs makes a right in that situation. But it is.
You're not
I'm
getting
glad
introduced
that
to a new
somebody
taste.
is not being. I'm glad they're at least on equal ground.
Yes.
That's a horrific thing to kind of think about.
Yeah, extremely sad for episodes 5 and 6. This is,
Of course.
this show has taken us places we never thought that we would go. And we've now got to the point where the rivalry actually is like hardcore there. The show started off, remember, we were like, doesn't seem like the stakes are what they could be, given that so far it's just a romantic relationship that's a little taboo. Now it's when feelings get involved. Fuck the league and all that stuff. It's when now we've got like potentially a relationship that shouldn't be going on. We've got these two boys who we know have feelings for each other feuding, and in like a I can fuck other people off. Now we're cooking. Plus the lamps.
Chat's mentioning Grills Pickles. Do have to give a shout out to Grills Pickles being represented in
Yes,
this episode.
Boston scene.
Can we reassess? I don't want to like pit the two couples up against each other, but I know that after episode 3, we were very, very excited about Scott Hunter and Kip, and we were waiting to see a little bit more from Ilya and Shane. Like, are they on equal ground in terms of interest now? Because they kind of are for me.
I would need to think of what my answer is to that, but what I'll say is I'm definitely excited to see how Scott Hunter can play into this.
Right. I want to see these kind of intertwined a bit more.
Yeah, I agree. I think at this point, Ilya is the most fascinating player in any of the relationships. Like I'm really fascinated in seeing it, like how he is clearly like breaking down his walls while keeping up this like, I guess, hyper masculine kind of vibe. Like, I don't know. I feel like that because like the other characters make sense. It's very like I understand what Shane is going through to a certain extent. I understand, but like I just think that the dynamics at play for Ilya are fascinating. Also, Ilya, I don't know. I get that you want to take your minds off things, but immediately, this is something I just thought about, Ilya going from like, my dad's missing, basically, to double barrel JOs.
Yeah.
Like real quick turnaround
Call
there.
blowing off steam, bro.
But I
Yeah.
get, you gotta get your mind off things.
That's true. Double barrel JO thing. We have to revisit something. I did see Rachel Reed say that Ilya is lying about his size after he claimed to be 9 inches.
But we knew that.
And with the we saw.
Yes.
Yeah, Sean, why
The pictures don't lie.
I mean, we got to wrap this in a sec anyway. But
The pictures don't lie. We already saw the pictures. That's not 9 inches. But if you're doing a double barrel JO, it didn't seem like there was much adjustment for size in terms of how that was being worked out. So I don't know. It doesn't look like there might be that big of a discrepancy between the two.
more heated rivalry stuff coming. You know that we positively cannot shut the fuck up about it. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to What Chaos here on YouTube. You will get everything, daily episodes, player interviews, and so much more. It's all here on the What Chaos YouTube. Hit subscribe. Connor Bedard has gotten, I don't want to say like particularly worse, but the star right now is not as bright as it was a year ago. And that is a thing that needs to be nurtured. Luke Richardson is the third head coach fired this season, joining Jim Montgomery and Drew Bannister. Second coach fired by a Winter Classic team. Anders Sorensen takes over for the Blackhawks. He was coaching the Rockford Ice Hogs, and now the Blackhawks were dead last in the NHL, lost 4 games in a row. Try to kind of clean things up. Pete, surprise on your part? Anything on your part?
No, definitely not surprised. I mean, it feels like the right time. I don't know if how, like, very much like the Jim Montgomery situation. I don't know how much of this is Luke Richardson's fault, but like, it has been really ugly in Chicago. It's been really tough to watch. Like, you're not seeing the individuals take step forwards. You're not seeing the team as a whole take a step forward, and you're just like toiling in mediocrity. But the difference between this situation and Jim Montgomery is like, you have a little bit of the example to pull on that, like, okay, this guy can get the most out of this team. You don't have that with Luke Richardson. He's also in the final year of his current contract. So you may as well just pull the plug and see if somebody else can get a little bit more out of this group, because right now, we've kind of mentioned it on the regular show, like, the vibes around the Blackhawks right now are horrible because their young players are looking extremely frustrated. They're not producing, and it just feels like the frustrations are stacking on top of each other, and these guys are not having a good time right now.
And I think if you're Kyle Davidson, it's just the card that you have to play because you did so much this offseason. This was the offseason where you were like, okay, we're going to go out, we're going to get guys. You bring back Teuvo Teravainen, you get Tyler Bertuzzi, a lot of smaller moves, like guys like Alec Martinez, but like you show that, okay, we're no longer going to be finishing third to last in the NHL, second to last in the NHL as they did the past 2 seasons, and that's a correct projection if that's what they were thinking, because right now they are last in the NHL. And that's what's wild about the Richardson thing is that they weren't this bad his first year. He was supposed to come in on a kind of suck team, and that suck team did at least have Patrick Kane for part of it until they traded him away. But that was the team that was supposed to be rock bottom-ish. Last year was supposed to be the foundation is being laid. This year was supposed to be this step forward is taken. And instead it was last year they were worse than the year before. And this year they were worse than the year before with an asterisk because placement wise, they're worse than they were last year. Statistically and even basic numbers wise, they're not as bad as they were last year, but they were still supposed to be so much better. They weren't supposed to be a playoff team, but they were supposed to take a step forward. And you mentioned Connor Bedard. He had to be taking a step forward. Our guys from CHGO Blackhawks podcast were discussing the reasons why this happened, and they agreed. The biggest thing is, like, guys can take different steps backward, or the goal scoring can regress, even though, again, the goal scoring has gotten better. The goals against has gotten better. Power play, better. Penalty kills, better. Connor Bedard has gotten, I don't want to say like particularly worse, but the star right now is not as bright as it was a year ago. And that is a thing that needs to be nurtured like nobody's business. You need to make sure that that thing doesn't get messed up. So There are football teams that is like Trevor Lawrence in Jacksonville. Like with the first sign, you think this guy who is definitely going to be awesome might not end up being awesome because of what we're doing. Pull the plug, change things.
Yeah, and you don't necessarily have to coddle him, but you do have to take care of him, right? And I had a friend at Luke Richardson's last game, which was against the Bruins at the Blackhawks Bruins game, and my friend texted me. He was like, Connor Bedard, like literally almost after every shift, is heading back to the bench, either like slamming his stick, hanging his head, and like having these like sort of outbursts. And yeah, you can put that on Bedard and say like he needs to get it together and he needs to, hold it together a little bit more, be a little bit more professional and learn how to do it. You could also make the case that like if you're a coach, you have to take care of him and make sure that he's not in a place where he's feeling that frustration after every shift. And you have to have a coach who doesn't make him feel that every day going to the rink, especially a guy like Connor Bedard. And we talked a little bit about this, like, as far as we know about Connor Bedard, like we don't know him super well personally, but everything that we've seen about him is like his entire life is sports and his entire life is being competitive. We hear time and time again, the only thing that he really, really cares about is playing hockey and going to the rink every day. And if that's not an enjoyable experience for him, I can see how that would wear on him mentally and the frustration would kind of consume him very quickly. And we heard Alex Vlasic tell our friends at CHGO earlier in the season on one of his weekly hits, like it's the first time in his life where he's been on a team that just keeps losing over and over and over and over again. And it's hard to adapt mentally to that. And I would imagine that a lot of that applies to Connor Bedard as well.
What if he's like another Chicago athlete? You know who Connor Bedard is to me? And this is just dawning on me. So maybe it's wrong, but it feels good in this moment. He's Jimmy Butler. When he's in a losing situation and everyone's like, what's he doing? Why is he getting so frustrated? Why is he so mad? And then when he gets in a situation where he can not necessarily like be in charge of things, but like look at what Jimmy Butler was on losing teams versus what he was on competitive teams. Jimmy Butler on competitive teams, everybody's like, you need a Jimmy Butler on your team.
He's him. Yeah.
The sky is extremely the limit for Connor Bedard. But yeah, right now he's on pace for 16 goals and 44 assists for 60 points. 60 points in year 2 ain't bad, but the 16 goals you kind of make a face at. So you hope that it gets better there. But as I said,
I hope that that's not misconstrued as like Connor Bedard got Luke Richardson fired or like
no,
he's the reason why he's gone. But like, yeah, it's you mentioned like the shine kind of wearing off Connor Bedard a little bit in year 2, and maybe that's the case. But regardless, like Connor Bedard is one of the very like few things that the Blackhawks have going for them right now, and he's not going for them at this point in time, and they need to fix that.
Okay, let's talk about the guy who takes over as head coach, Anders Sorensen, who was a development coach for Chicago for a number of years and then became head coach at Rockford. Before that, I knew him as he was David Pasternak's coach in Södertälje. So he's from Sweden, Swedish dude, was an assistant coach for Södertälje for a number of years. I think got half a season as an interim head coach there before he came over to North America. And we can at least know that he's helped guys develop. I mean, if he's coaching in the AHL, they clearly feel good about him there, but that he was coaching young guys like William Nylander and David Pastrnak once upon a time, and they really liked him a lot. That's encouraging because the coach that I think of that they need, really whenever there's a head coach opening, we kind of jokingly ask, could this team use Jay Woodcroft? I hate to say it. The Blackhawks are a team where if they ended up getting Jay Woodcroft, either at season's end if Sorensen doesn't work out or whenever, like, they are in a position where they need to be growing and they need to be learning. And what's scary about the Blackhawks right now is even with their supplemental pieces they brought in, the veterans they have, this isn't a team that is growing at the rate that it should be. And you have young guys in the AHL right now who are going to be stars in the future for the Blackhawks. So you really need to make sure that that goes well. So Sorensen, I know, is a teacher. Woodcroft, I know, is a teacher. I think that where they are in their process right now, the Blackhawks don't need the who's the guy who's going to get them to the playoffs. They need to be taking steps forward, and they're not taking good ones right now. So I say, yeah, just do the teacher thing. What say you?
Yeah, I think that's fair, and I think that this situation somewhat reminds me of like the Spencer Carberry model for Washington, where like halfway through last year, Washington realized that it really wasn't working with the group that they had, and so like they pulled the plug on a lot of what was happening there, and they were like, let's just bring up the young guys that played for Carberry in Hershey, and like that team was just so much better when they had the teacher teach the young players that maybe were raw but had a little bit in them. And I look at like, we haven't seen Frank Nazar, we haven't like that. To me is what is exciting about this, is like now you're potentially getting Nazar up and getting a little bit more out of some of these younger guys who have a teacher to help them along. And
He at least knows
if
left
you're the
shot
Blackhawks,
too.
and that's going to make you feel better. Like if you're a Blackhawks fan, you need building blocks, you need steps forward, and I think you've probably got a better chance here hitting the reset button, especially with a guy who can teach.
Okay, well, let's also talk about the architect here to invoke the late, or the not the late great, Casey Musgraves is alive. The great Casey Musgraves.
Very much alive.
Kyle Davidson dropped a new music video this week. Very good. He's the guy that made all these moves the last couple of years. And I don't know that I look at the Blackhawks, and I think this is probably why Richardson's gone. I don't know if this is a like, well, why just sign those guys kind of thing. Like Taylor Hall, I didn't think was going to give you great returns. But when I look at the guys they brought in the last 2 years, the only one who I say, yeah, definitely, and I'm not counting draft picks, is Nick Foligno. Because Nick Foligno rules, and he sets a good example for these guys. But are any of the additions, have they really raised the water level in Chicago? Not really. So he's probably next. I just don't know if he's doing a good or bad job.
Yeah, I mean, he had to do something in free agency this summer, because you look at the team that they had last year, it was basically a glorified AHL team with Connor Bedard, and then they lost Connor Bedard, and they were quite literally unwatchable without Connor Bedard in that lineup. So like, yeah, I like Tyler Bertuzzi being added there. Like I like some of the smaller
He's been
names.
back.
Like, I'm not crazy. I know he has, but so is the entire offense. Like they need somebody to unlock the offense, because the offense should not be this bad. You look under the hood, they're second to last in goals for per game, and they're dead last in scoring chances and high danger chances per game. And that can at least be improved. Like they're probably not going to be a good team this year. I think that we can all agree on that, but they can be better. I think that this is a team that's capable of being, at the very least, more exciting. And higher than that, they're capable of being better than the worst team in the league. I truly believe that.
Do you know who the second leading point producer for the Blackhawks is this season? It's someone who's having a career year, but you say shame on a team if this person is your second best player offensively. It's a guy we like.
Is it Seth Jones?
It's Ryan
Seth Jones
Donato, but it could be.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Ryan Donato
Jones.
with 10 goals. Seth Jones currently out of the lineup, so I was expecting it not to be Seth Jones.
But this team has struggled so much that maybe a guy out of the lineup still lead. I mean, this team is 31st in goals for per game, 2.42 goals, which again was a step in the right direction, because last year they were 32nd with 2.17 goals per game. They've improved in all those things. But you're improving from dead last in goals last season, 29th in goals against last season, 28th in power play last season, 27th in penalty kill last season. The special teams have actually been good, 12th in power play, 9th in penalty kill, but 31st in goals, 21st in goals against. And when you watch the games, it's not an inspiring product right now. Obviously, they've been losing games like crazy of late.
Yeah, but you want to hear the craziest stat of all, which I saw in Mark Lazarus's column yesterday. For a team that's dead last in the NHL, and you just rattled off like how bad they are at 5-on-5, they, in all but one of their 26 games this season, they have been leading, tied, or within one goal in the third period. So, like,
Wow.
they're not getting smoked. They're a competitive hockey team that just frequently loses.
So it's like they lead the league in frustrating losses, and that does get a coach fired.
Yeah, because it's like you're
like,
there, but why? But what's the piece that's missing that's preventing you from leaving all these points on the table?
I mean, this just happened in Chicago. A football coach got fired where if they didn't play that close a game against Detroit on Thanksgiving, if they didn't come back in that game, he ain't getting fired. But it brings attention when people watch and they say, this should be better. But they're having a very tough go of it right now. They do have a lot of young players that we really do like, and we like some of the veterans too. So I hope it turns around. I don't know how much it can turn around this season realistically. I don't think you're looking at the 2019 Blues here, but I do hope that in 3 weeks leading up to the Winter Classic, that at least one of these teams, the Blues and the Blackhawks, and I do hope it's the Blackhawks, has some sort of feeling themselves kind of edge and some sort of spark off this thing, because I don't want doom and gloom around this team, and I definitely don't want it around Connor Bedard.
Yeah, I just think they needed to change something up with these guys going to the rink every day, and I think that you couldn't let it fester, especially when you're not locked in on the guy who's there, and like you don't have a lot of example to say this is our guy, or like we have faith in this guy turning it around, and I just don't think that was attached to Luke Richardson.
We all silly like the mayor.
But this move also tells me they think they're going to be better this year. And oh no, baby, what is you doing? Got a trade on a Saturday, and it's kind of a big one. It's kind of a confusing one, but at long last, Cam Fowler is no longer the weirdest lifer in the NHL. He's no longer a Duck. He's a St. Louis Blues, because the Blues have traded Jeremy Biaka-Batuka, a kind of fringe-ish prospect, and a 2027 second-round pick to the Ducks for Cam Fowler, and a 2027 fourth. The interesting little wrinkle here, that in addition to the Ducks retaining $2.5 million of Fowler's contract, he's got another year after this at $6.5 million cap hit. The Ducks had to deal with the fact that there are only 4 teams to which Cam Fowler would accept a trade, because he had a 27-team no-trade list, and he is now a St. Louis Blue. I'm still kind of confused by all of it. Pete, what are you thinking?
So confused by all of this. I think that we knew that Cam Fowler was going to be traded sooner rather than later, although it's well overdue still. Like, we've been talking about Cam Fowler being long gone from the Ducks for a while. He should have been traded with the Sami Vatanens, the Hampus Lindholms. Like, it's crazy that he was the remaining part of that core. Why the Blues, though, is the big question to me. Like, why are the Blues one of the 4 teams? Because you, on one hand, maybe the Blues are the only team that he would still remain a top pairing defenseman for, like he was with the Ducks. But then if he wants to contend, why St. Louis? And why do you make this deal if you're the Blues? I think we talked about it a little bit before doing this, is like, what are the Blues think that they are? What are they trying to accomplish by bringing him in here and paying $4 million? Because in theory, $4 million for a top pairing defenseman is good value, but Cam Fowler is not a top pairing defenseman. We can be honest. In my mind, he's like a third pairing defenseman. I wouldn't give up a second round pick and pay this guy $4 million when he doesn't really move the needle all that much for you, especially in a Western Conference that's really tough.
Yeah, I have endorsed Cam Fowler wanting to get out of Anaheim. I have wanted Cam Fowler to get out of Anaheim because he is part of their past. He is not part of their future, and they do have old defensemen on that blue line, but they seem like, I'm talking specifically about Radko Gudas, although maybe now Jacob Trouba is part of that because he accepted a trade to them. more in line with like, yeah, I'm going to be an old guy and I'm going to be a veteran who is going to help shepherd these young players. Cam Fowler shouldn't want to do that. He should want to get out of there. He should want to contend because he has, as I mentioned, been in Anaheim his entire career. Got to put him on doesn't know puck watch though. If the Blues are one of the team play, if his idea of getting out of there and going to a contender is going to the St. Louis Blues, a team that yes is playing better than under Jim Montgomery, but is 500, he just doesn't know puck. I think it's the other thing you brought up, Pete, and I had not thought about this. He maybe just wants to be a top player on another team. Cool, I guess. This doesn't make a ton of sense to me from Cam Fowler's perspective, and it doesn't make a ton of sense to me from the Blues' perspective. Makes sense for the Ducks, although I would have thought they'd get more for him, a no trade clause, especially when a player is really sticking to it, which shout out Cam Fowler, do that, take advantage of that. The team would take advantage of you if they could, so whatever, give it back to them. The Ducks, I thought, would have gotten more, though, for Cam Fowler than a swap of 2027 picks. But you know what? We don't know what the Blues are going to be in 2027. They probably think they're going to be better, but this move also tells me they think they're going to be better this year. And oh no, baby, what is you doing? They're 12th in the Western Conference. The teams ahead of them in the wild card are the Avalanche, the Hockey Club, the Canucks, the Flames, and the Kraken. You want to tell me they think they can jump the Kraken? Hell yeah, do it. You have my full support. The Flames have come back to earth. Yeah, sure. But you're naming a lot of teams before this is an actual playoff team. Blues are scoring more. They're winning more, 5-2-1 under Montgomery. But you could give them the best coach in the world and 3 more good players. Do any of us think they're making the playoffs?
I mean, if they make the playoffs, I wouldn't take them seriously as a team that's going to make noise. That's the big thing here is like, what are you truly investing in? And I don't really know how much you're investing in your present. You're definitely not investing in your future with Cam Fowler. And to me, it's just like it's a new example of a big picture thing with St. Louis is that they are investing in defensemen and have been investing in defensemen who are past their prime and don't really make them that much better of a team. Like maybe you argue that the reason that Cam Fowler being brought in makes sense because Nick Leddy's not going to come back, but them reinvesting in Nick Leddy a few years ago at the time they did it was like, he's not a top 4 defenseman. He's not a top pairing defenseman. And, you know, if you want to split up Broberg and Parayko, if you want to pair Fowler with Parayko, sure. But again, like in the year of our Lord, 2024, 2025, that is not a good top pairing. I'm very confused about it from the Blues perspective. I was a little confused about it. Like, why now? Why this deal from the Ducks perspective? But the knowledge of them only having 4 teams to work with and them just wanting to free up the spot for what their defense is going to be and the guys that are factoring in beyond this season, giving them more run, giving them more time makes a lot of sense for Anaheim. So yeah, from the Fowler and St. Louis perspective, I have a pretty hard time wrapping my head around this other than just being like a veteran body that they can plug in and maybe try some new things.
And I wondered if they thought maybe like, you know what? Fowler can be had for not a lot and he wants to come here. So let's just get him for next year. Broberg's going to be a year older, but tell you who else is going to be a year older. Colton Parayko is going to be a year older. Ryan Suter better not be there, but Nick Leddy will be there and Torrey Krug will be there. So maybe, who knows what ends up happening with Torrey Krug, but they've got such a weird situation on defense that the only thing they've done on defense that makes sense, and it didn't even seem like it seemed crazy at the time, was like stealing Broberg and paying him $1 bajillion. Do more of that than getting, like, I'd rather you throw away your second round. They moved a second round pick to do that. I would much rather you do it that way and get young guys who are a little established than keep adding old defensemen to a group of old and not very good defensemen. I will say, like, I don't hate Cam Fowler as a player.
No, me neither.
I think you're onto something when you say like a good team probably has him on the third pairing, but he can be a top 4-ish defenseman. Still breaks the puck out well, still is good on penalty kill. Like, that's still a useful player. So another little wrinkle is I wish someone else got him.
Yeah,
I wish that he were a relevant chip come trade season.
Yeah, I think that's a very fair takeaway to have. And like maybe maybe we're missing something. Maybe the Blues have identified something in Cam Fowler that they think is really going to unlock their blue line, or just really kind of help with what they're trying to do there under Jim Montgomery in this new system. But just from my perspective on the outside, like, I don't see it. I think this is a weird allocation of resources, a weird investment in a player that doesn't really change your makeup all that much, especially when you're considering where Cam Fowler is in his career, who he is. You can maybe strike gold or find that kind of player for a much lower cost.
Yeah, the trade grades I'm giving the Ducks, and that's it. I'm giving the Blues and I'm giving Cam Fowler What are your grades?
I think all that's fair. I do understand it more from the Cam Fowler perspective, because if you're like, okay, I'm not going to win a cup, or if, I am going to win a cup, I'm not going to play that much. He's got another contract coming up in a year and a half. And if he is in a spot where he continues to be a top pairing defenseman or a top 4 defenseman, he can at least parlay that into the next contract and say, this is who I've been. I should be getting paid as a top 4 or top pairing defenseman. Give me my money.
I'm gonna keep thinking on this, and I just don't have a lot of answers right now. But at long last, Cam Fowler wearing a different jersey.
We all silly like the mayor.